Chapter 8. The Mirabeau Encampment, Marseille. It's a veritable mountain range of scrap iron, piles of metal and car chassis as far as the eye can see. And in the valleys, as it were, are the caravans, shacks and fires. Janko and his family welcome me warmly, bringing out food and wine, and giving me a place to sleep with the children in an old railway carriage. I know some of the other gypsy families here, one that had passed through Pau or were at the picking in Saint-Emilion. Here's Tarut again. She smiles when she sees me and takes me into Campina and shows me her photographs. Here she is, 7 years old, on a beach at Biarritz. Here she is riding bareback on a horse in the Camargue. This is a picture of Tata and Peter, and this is Zingo, the little urchin with the shaved head and catapult at their side. And you see, she says, still the same Campina they have now. Here's a big fire with musicians around it, a girl dancing. Les Sept Maries de la Mer, she says. It's fun there. But her face suddenly becomes overcast as she turns the page. My brother, shot by the police. They say it was a mistake, but it wasn't. They chased him all over Marseille and shot him in cold blood. You see now why I always wear black. I will always wear black. I cannot forget him. You see, we were so close, he and I. She's got up, is standing in the doorway. You understand these sorts of things, I think. That's why I've shown you my photographs, why I've told you of my brother. I keep this suffering to myself, but to you I wanted to speak. Janko offers me some work for a few days. He has some lorries to break up. It'll be hard graft, but he'll pay me for my pains. So, with mallets, crowbars and axes, we set about smashing and ripping iron and metal. Sparks, jagged splinters, fly like shrapnel. We wear goggles and thick gloves. 4 of us are at it, myself and Janko, his son Pingas, and a cousin, Topo. Topo's only half Manouche. His mother's a Barescri. The Barescri are basket makers. And though they're not of Romany blood, they and the Manouche live peaceably alongside one another. Topo has wide-apart green eyes and freckles. He's always laughing. He shows me how to carve wooden figures with a penknife. Now stick, he says to me, holding up a piece of wood. Now man. From stick to man in just 3 minutes. You try. Stick, still stick, he says, laughingly, after several minutes of my hacking unskillfully at the wood. Watch this, and he shows me how simple it can be. That your forefathers have been making these sorts of things for centuries. It's in your blood, so it's not fair. Yes, he laughs. Topo takes me to his caravan, one of the biggest I've ever seen. Bari Campina, huh? Yes, a big caravan. Mordat Mordai. He introduces me to his father and his mother. A tiny man with a laughing face like his son grasps my hand. My father's known as the Northern Giant, Le Géant du Nord, says Topo, because of his height. Because of my 2 wives and the enormous caravan, I have to house them, jokes the giant. A big jovial-looking woman, similar to the one Topos introduces his mother, is coming down the steps of the caravan. I married 2 sisters of the Barescri tribe of Lyon. God have mercy on my soul, winks the giant. And he looks at the pitiable size they've reduced to me with their constant henpecking. Topo shows me his collection of sculptures, carved from all kinds of wood: pine, ash, sycamore, chestnut, oak, willow, beech. Some so intricately chiselled they're monuments to detail. Others sparse with the merest outline for form, unscratched surface for face. These latter, like the figures from the pre-Hellenic Cyclades, are the ones that seize my attention. I look at Topper. They're incredible, I breathe. Which one do you like best? He asks. Oh, that one, I point, without hesitation, at a standing figure, flat-faced, looking up at the stars. Then it's yours, and he puts it in my palm and closes my hand over it. Hup, hup, deek, deek! Children rushing are calling, Le Cirque, Le Cirque! We run to the road at the confines of the encampment. Some caravans and wagons are newly pulled up. There's a monkey, a bear, and a wild pig in a cage. Kel, Kel, dance, dance! Sing the urchins to the bar, and the bear sways from one foot to the other in a clumsy, drunken lurch. They throw stones at its feet, and a man jumps from a caravan, shouting, Jovek, Jovek! They run away. To me he lifts his Hungarian hat and bows. Cirque de Budapest, Paul. The Lost Chapter. Into Spain. I found a construction site and am snuggled into my sleeping bag on the third floor out of the cold March wind which is cutting across the plain. Tired as a dog I am, which flops down in front of the fire, as our beagles used to do when they came back after hunting, having been missing for a couple of days and nights, covered in blood and mud, flopping down, too tired to eat. It's been a long march today, sustained with only a crust of bread and some hard, salty cheese. I'm slipping into the bliss of sleep, drifting off. But then, what's that? Voices and a light flashing on me. There are some people gathered in the house across the street from me. Someone must have seen me enter the building, climb over the fence. Shit! And now suddenly there are two Guardia Civil brutes standing over me, pointing a pistol at my head and barking, Arriba las manos! I put my hands up, and then, with the gun trained on me, put on my clothes and handcuffed, I'm led out onto the street and marched to the police station. Once there, I'm searched and have my passport taken from me. They can surely see I'm not a Basque terrorist. And then I'm taken to a cell with a board and a thin mattress, which pass for a bed, and a hole in the floor to shit and piss in. Not so savoury, but at least I'm out of the wind. My head hits the pillow and I sleep the sleep of the just. Well, they've obviously realized I'm not a terrorist, and this morning finds me on the road to Valencia, musing merrily that perhaps the cops had saved me from the people in the building opposite, who were rally terrorists and had insisted at the point of a gun I come along to the safety of the police station. Well, you never know. Coming down onto the coastal plains, the road is bordered on either side by orange groves, miles upon miles of them. I will always think of white houses, blue sea and oranges when I think of Valencia. Now I'm aboard the night boat to Ibiza. It's a fine old boat with a rough wooden deck and wooden upholstered interior. Even though the evening's chilly, most of us are sitting out on deck, where a group of young Spaniards are singing to the accompaniment of a guitar. I sleep out under the stars with the roll of the ship rocking me like a baby in its cradle. We put into port just as the sun's climbing up the eastern sky. Stepping ashore, I'm taken aside by the police, who detain me for an hour or so whilst they check my papers, and I fear they're going to send me back upon finding that I have no money. But to my pleasant surprise, they release me, and on leaving the harbour, I turn left along the coast, knowing not where I'm going, for I have no map. Now my kingdom for a cup of coffee, and my kingdom is all I'm able to give, as I don't have a bean. Just have to go without. But what are these shining things that greet me, glistening and winking at the side of the road? They're infused with the warmth of the sun, and Franco's head has never looked so pleasant, and they're imbued in their metallic cores with the power to conjure up coffee and cigarettes. Pesetas from heaven, 30 of them. I put them safely in my pocket and continue on my way. After some time, a city rises up ahead of me in the form of high-rise Benidorm-style hotels. Yuck! This ain't what I picture Ibiza town to look like. And that's because it's not Ibiza, but the hideous city of San Antonio. I'm now walking into it. Never mind. Right now I'm going to grab a coffee and a packet of fags, cigarettes that is, and can think about how to get out of here later. Ah, bliss, a long, strong café con leche, and now I'm leaning back, smoking a cigarette, at peace with the world, and quite happy to remain as such, for such moments are worth all the other moments put together. But now a fellow's heading towards my table, English of some sort, and clearly drunk, and I can't really send him away when he asks if he can join me, though it would, seeing how things are going to turn out, be better to do so. "You're English, aren't you?" he says, as though to be English is the only credential one needs to be pally with someone. And upon my confirming that I indeed am, he starts out on the unhappy story of his life. Pitiable it is, really. His misfortunes all of his own doing, and a trail of destruction in his booze-sodden wake. He's from Sheffield, been here some months, spending the last of his earnings, having walked out of his job at a steel factory, stacking, loading, pissing about, as he puts it, and out of his marriage. Not walked, fucked off out of it, he says. Fucking bitch. Couldn't have a drink without her going fucking ballistic, and that made me violent sometimes. Can you blame me? I'm getting a picture. "Listen, pal, I'm renting a room here, got 2 beds if you need a place to stay. Won't cost you nothing." And he persuades me, against my better judgment, to take him up on the offer. It hasn't taken me long to realise that he's as broke as I am. He seems to have enough for his bottles of gin, but starts on about not having anything for food, hinting at first that I might do something about it, and then getting more forceful. "I'm fucking providing you with a place to sleep. About time you did something in return." So much for his won't cost you nothing. But I need to feed myself too, and so I steal some cheese from a small supermarket on the corner and beg some bread from a bakery at the expense of contemptuous looks and head bowed in shame. "Nice one," he says, seizing on it like a hungry dog. And so this becomes my job, my payment every day, except for the occasional crack through which one gets a glimpse of something nasty. Paul's quite affable most of the time, as long, that is, as he has a drink. In the evenings we go to a discotheque which we get into free, and where we mind sweep for drinks. That is, we swipe other people's drinks, mainly Bacardi and Cokes, when they go out to the dance floor, and we manage to get drunk. Tonight, this 4th night, he's been in a queer mood, and leaving the disco early, says with something like a growl, "See ya." I stay on for a couple of hours, having got into the swing of things, and am on the floor dancing, ever fancying my chances with the slim, mainly English girls, with whom I don't stand a chance in hell, of course. When I get back to the pension, Paul, steaming drunk, greets me at the door. "Get out of here," he snarls. "Well, what do you mean?" "I've had enough of you, with your stealing and begging." "What the—" He grabs an empty bottle, smashes it, and lunges at me with the jagged glass. "Get your things and get the fuck out of here." The town of Ibiza is a whole different kettle of fish. Truly a lovely town, and as picturesque and charming as I've heard it described. It's a strange mix of hippies and the jet set. Laid back and bohemian, it invites you to laze in its ubiquitous cafes and bars, in its little winding alleys